Silence has a way of sharpening the mind. For Isaac Newton, silence was not an absence, it was a companion, a pressure, a space where questions grew louder the longer they went unanswered. While the world around him buzzed with wars, plagues, and political upheaval, Newton spent much of his life turned inward, wrestling not with armies or crowds, but with light, motion, and the invisible forces that hold the universe together. He did not look like a revolutionary. He did not speak like one either. Yet few individuals have ever altered humanity's understanding of reality as profoundly as Isaac Newton. Newton was born prematurely in the winter of 1643 in Woolsthorpe, a small village in rural England. His father had died before he was born, and his mother remarried when Isaac was still a child, leaving him behind to be raised by his grandmother. The separation marked him deeply. Newton grew up withdrawn, solitary, and intensely observant, a boy more comfortable with books and tools than with people. At school, he was not immediately remarkable, but once challenged, once provoked, something fierce awakened in him. He became driven by rivalry, by the need to prove himself, by the refusal to be overlooked. That pattern, quiet withdrawal followed by explosive intellectual intensity, would define his life. In 1661, Newton entered Trinity College at Cambridge. England was changing. The scientific revolution was already underway. Galileo had shaken the heavens. Descartes had dared to rebuild knowledge from first principles. Yet much of nature remained mysterious, fragmented into isolated observations with no unifying explanation. Newton absorbed everything: mathematics, optics, philosophy. But he was dissatisfied. Existing frameworks felt incomplete. He wanted certainty, not speculation, but proof. Then, in 1665, catastrophe arrived. The Great Plague swept through England, forcing Cambridge to close. Newton returned to Woolsthorpe, back to the quiet fields of his childhood. What followed would later be remembered as his annus mirabilis, his miraculous year. Isolated from the world, Newton thought, and thought, and thought. He developed the foundations of calculus, a mathematical language capable of describing change itself. He began unraveling the nature of light, discovering that white light was not pure, but a mixture of colors. And most famously, he turned his attention to motion and gravity. Objects fall, planets move, the moon does not drift away. Why? Newton realized that the same force pulling an apple toward the ground might also be guiding the moon in its orbit. The insight was radical. Heaven and earth were not governed by different rules. The universe was unified. But Newton did not rush to publish. He rarely did. He feared criticism. He despised controversy, and he was painfully sensitive to attacks on his ideas. So he kept working, refining, doubting, revising, sometimes obsessively. Years passed. In optics, Newton built a reflecting telescope that avoided the distortions of earlier designs. It impressed the Royal Society, earning him early recognition. Yet praise did not bring peace. When critics challenged his theory of light, Newton reacted with bitterness and withdrawal. He retreated again into silence. The same pattern repeated with calculus. Newton had developed it early, but did not publish. When Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz independently created a similar system and published first, a bitter priority dispute erupted. Newton believed he had been robbed. The feud consumed him for years and fractured the scientific community across Europe. This was Newton's paradox, a mind capable of cosmic clarity paired with a temperament that struggled deeply with human conflict. His greatest work emerged in 1687, Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, the Principia. In it, Newton laid out the laws of motion and universal gravitation. With mathematical precision, he showed that the same principles governing a falling stone also governed the movements of planets and comets. The universe, once mysterious and unpredictable, suddenly became legible. The Principia did not merely explain the world, It redefined what explanation meant. Science was no longer a collection of observations. It became a system, predictive, testable, mathematical. The book shaped physics, engineering, astronomy, and philosophy for centuries. Einstein would later say that Newton's work was the foundation upon which modern science was built. Yet even at the height of his intellectual triumph, Newton remained restless. He was deeply religious, though not conventionally so. He spent years studying theology, prophecy, and biblical chronology, far more time, in fact, than he spent on physics. He rejected the doctrine of the Trinity, a dangerous position in his era, and kept many of his beliefs private. Newton also immersed himself in alchemy, seeking hidden structures beneath matter itself. To modernize, this seems contradictory, but to Newton it was all part of the same quest, uncovering the rules God had written into nature. In his later years, Newton moved into public life. He became warden, then master of the Royal Mint, where he pursued counterfeiters with relentless precision. He was elected president of the Royal Society and knighted by Queen Anne, becoming Sir Isaac Newton. Power suited him better than collaboration. As an administrator, he was decisive and unforgiving. As a rival, he was ruthless. He rewrote histories, controlled narratives, and ensured his version of events prevailed. Yet age did not soften him. He never married. He formed few close relationships. His world was one of ideas, equations, and private convictions. When he died in 1727, he left behind no children, but an intellectual legacy without equal. Newton had shown humanity that the universe operates according to laws, not whims, not miracles, but principles that can be discovered, tested, and understood. He taught us that nature is not chaos, but order waiting to be decoded. And yet, perhaps the most remarkable thing about Isaac Newton is not what he revealed, but how he lived. A solitary boy, abandoned early, who found certainty in numbers. A man who mistrusted people, but trusted reason absolutely. A thinker who unlocked the cosmos, yet remained haunted by doubt and conflict. Standing at the edge of modernity, Newton looked backward to theology and forward to science, and somehow held both in the same mind. He once wrote that he felt like a child playing on the seashore while the great ocean of truth lay undiscovered before him. Coming from anyone else, it would sound like humility. Coming from Isaac Newton, it sounds like a warning. Because when silence meets curiosity and curiosity meets discipline, the universe eventually answers. And sometimes it answers through one quiet mind, sitting alone, daring to ask why the world moves at all.